I do not remember a time I was this split over a movie. This movie is both the best and worst SpongeBob movie simultaneously. SpongeBob Run was probably my most anticipated movie of the year other than the Sonic movie. And even then, I was probably not planning on seeing this in the theater. I was pretty turned off from the switch to CGI from 2D animation, and I thought the premise was pretty lazy, and the title was stolen from a mobile game promoting the last movie. Not to mention, this movie was a bit of a backdoor pilot for the upcoming Camp Coral series on Nickelodeon, which in and of itself was pretty controversial for being essentially an insult to Steven Hillenburg. But that's a story for a different day. But then it was canceled from appearing in theaters. Unless you lived in Canada. If you lived in Canada, I have good news for you. Outside of Canada, it was going to be just coming to random streaming services, which I thought was pretty lame. I would rather they just threw it on the iTunes/Google Play Store and such for rental like Scoob and Trolls did. But whatever. Then it got released on Netflix worldwide. Except for North America. Yeah, us residents of Thank God Biden Won the Presidency land have to officially wait until 2021 for it to hit CBS All Access. God damn it. Listen, it's one thing to delay it for a whole region, but putting it on a streaming service that nobody has ever fucking heard of, and even less have? For fuck's sake. Thank God I had a VPN for this, because I was not going to invest in CBS All Access for this thing. I've already established that this movie was kind of hard to watch in North America anyways, due to Viacom being Viacom. But how's the movie?
Dude, that movie sucked.
Well, let's start with the story. SpongeBob's pet snail Gary was kidnapped by Plankton and brought to the King Poseidon. No, not King Neptune from the first movie. That'd be too smart. A new ruler of the sea. How many rulers of the sea fucking are there in this universe? This ruler of the sea is actually played by the same actor as Bubbles from the second movie. Some people have noticed that this is pretty noticeable, but I didn't notice this until people pointed it out, so I guess that's fine. So Patrick and SpongeBob have to set up on a trip to the lost city of Atlantic City. Okay, for starters, this pilot is immediately rehashing several plots from other episodes, such as Have You Seen the Snail?, Atlanta SquarePants, and later on the movie Truth or Square. That aside, this story doesn't feel too special. It feels a lot more like a standard episode of the show. But I can forgive that if it wasn't for the fact that these scenes just drag the fuck on. There's this one scene where SpongeBob and Patrick visit an old western town infested with cool, wacky, dancing zombie cowboys dancing to a song from Snoop Dogg. They have to free the souls of the zombies, and the scene just goes on and on. The scene serves essentially no point to the movie other than to pad out the runtime. They do add Keanu Reeves in one scene as a character in the movie, but even he seems tired of this. He gives a performance that just screams, "Give me my fucking paycheck, I want to get out of here." The movie acts like this is a giant quest to find Gary, but like, they find where he is immediately and just drive there in like 30 minutes. By the time they get to Atlantic City, there is still an hour of the movie to go. It only takes a quarter of the runtime for them to do what the title suggests. Sponge on Run. They're only on the run for a quarter of the runtime. Then once they get there, they waste even more time on a gambling montage. Admittedly though, I found this montage to be pretty funny, but it still drags on way too long. Meanwhile, the main cast is in shambles due to SpongeBob being missing, so they set off to go find him. SpongeBob and Patrick are arrested and sentenced to death, and right during the court hearing, Sandy, Squidward, Mr. Krabs, and Plankton show up to testify. And by testify, just explain how they met him and how he's been such a great friend. But he's still being sentenced to death. He committed a crime in the eyes of the ruler of the sea. So what if he's a good guy? The court isn't going to help him out just because he's a good guy. Also, these flashbacks are super foamed in and by the numbers. Patrick is homesick, so SpongeBob becomes his friend. Sandy doesn't think she could be a scientist because she's a squirrel, and squirrels can't be scientists. SpongeBob encourages her, and she's like, okay. Like, the movie acts like these scenes are really emotional, but they're just so by the numbers. Like other people have said, this scene will work better if SpongeBob was at his lowest point, and these stories were gonna build him back up again so he could fight in the court. But no, they follow up with this backdoor pilot scene. Then they followed this up with one of the worst songs in SpongeBob media. The secret to the formula is just awful. I'm sorry, these lyrics are again by the numbers, and these characters cannot sing. The movie's writing is so atrocious. Albeit every once in a while there were a few pretty good jokes, but the movie is paced at a snail's pace. Gary the snail's pace. A complaint I see a lot is the usage of licensed music in the film. Honestly, this didn't bother me much, albeit why is Weezer playing Take On Me? Like, that is just such a strange combo. Yes, the group that did Beverly Hills and The World Is Turning Left Me here singing Take On Me. They also did the opening song, and I'll say I really like that song and the entire opening sequence. I don't know, it just paints SpongeBob's life in a different light than it is in the show, and I really like it, just SpongeBob going about his day-to-day routine. So I've gone on quite a while trashing this movie, but there's one more thing about this movie I love, and it's the animation. This movie looks amazing. There is such a high level of detail I haven't seen in an animated movie. This is comparable to Pixar's work. Like, look at this picture of Sandy. You can see the scratches on her helmet, the textures on her flower, material of her suit, the individual hairs. Oh, it looked amazing! Not to mention the character movements are super stylized. They also use that lower frame rate similar to the Peanuts movie in Spider-Verse, and it's perfect. It matches the television show to a T, and it still feels like a big budget Hollywood picture. I love how colorful the Las Vegas-esque Atlantic City looks. It's just so amazing looking. I just wish this fantastic animation was showcased in better writing. Sadly, overall, SpongeBob Run feels tired by the numbers and just drags on. And aside from the gorgeous animation and solid jokes and the appearance of Weezer and Keanu Reeves, this movie falls flat. But aside from that, I just can't bring myself to hate it. It's SpongeBob. I love the character too much. I just love SpongeBob too much to give this movie a score any lower than 6 out of 10. It's passable. It's perfectly fine and the animation is great. If you're a fan of SpongeBob, I'd say download a VPN and check it out. I'll link the free VPN I used to watch it in the description. Just set your location to any country other than America or Canada. Not sponsored, by the way. Anyways, that's all I got. Thanks so much for watching. Have a Merry Christmas, and I hope to see you later.